All right, folks. So 9.3, value of statistics. I'm going to walk you through the calculator setup if you feel up to it. So this information, you can't use that. You have to do it yourself. You have two choices. So I'm going to show you the sort of faster way. If you find this really annoying, there is another way. Okay. So the idea here is that we have 5 data sets, classes F through J. And then you have graphs below. We have 2 graphs here and 3 graphs on the next page that maps them. However, this info at the top is actually what the variable is. So this is where you ask people to rate statistics, how important it is on a scale of 1 through 9. And the way we have this organized is each class, what these are is frequencies. How many people in each class voted for a 2 or a 3 or a 4. Right? So basically to capture this info in the calculator and to be able to run one of our stats on this, what you need to do is one of 2 things. Either, this is not what I'm going to show you now, either if you have the patience, what you can do is go through and just literally type in 3 2s, be like 2 2 2, 3, 4 4 4 4 4, 5 5 5 5 5 5, 6 6, 7 7 7 7 7, 8 8, and that's your list, and they would have 24 numbers in it. So you could do that if you don't like what I'm about to do. All right. What I'm about to do is a little faster, but it involves this weird trick that you might be super cool with, or you might just be like, nah, that's not for me. If you don't like what I'm showing you, then you'd have to put in 5 lists where you just type in each of these numbers this many times. Right? So if you're doing class 8, you'd write it 1, 5, 22 times, 5, 5, 5, 5, and a 9. And that's your data set. Okay. Otherwise, you can do what I'm about to show you, which is you're combining the score with how many people picked it. All right, so what I've done in my calculator is I've put each of these lists in this direction into list 1. So the ratings 1 through 9 are in list 1. List 2 is class F, so how many people picked each of these. Let me scroll to the top here so you can see it. So nobody picked a 1 in class F. List 3 is class G. List 4 is class H. List 5 is class I, and list 6 is class J. So I've completely used up all the lists that I've got. Now, to run one of our stats on these, to get the info that I need later, so you're being asked to estimate things first, so make some predictions, right? Do this first. Don't cut out your predictions. But then you're going to use your calculator to compute the range, interquartile range, and standard deviation. Range you can do by hand, it's no big deal. But IQR and standard deviation, highly recommend moving forward to use your calculator for these. So for this part, if you didn't type in every single number every single time, which was option number 1, option number 2 is going to be the following. You're going to be asking your calculator to do one of our stats for class F. Now class F, please don't write on your books, this is my book. I'm just going to, for myself, so I don't get confused, I'm going to write down which list has which one. Right? Well, I'm going to be running one of our stats. However, list 1, the rating is going to be my data every time, and these are going to be my frequencies. So where it says frequency in the calculator, this is what I'm putting. So let's try class F, which is my list 2. Okay, so I'm going to hit stat. I'm going to hit right to go to calculate. I'm doing one of our stats. And the way this is going to go is the data itself, the name of the variable is the rating, which is list 1. It's going to be list 1 for all of these. But the frequency, how many times people picked each of those ratings, is going to be each one of these. So right now I'm doing class F. I'm putting list 2 as my frequency. How do you type a list 2? You have to hit the second button. And there's an arrow right here that appears. And then if you look at the numbers down here, if you look above, list 2 is the 2 once you hit the shift button. So I hit shift, right, and up, list 2. So I'm saying, please combine list 1 and list 2 to give me the info that I need. Now, once you've done this, if it worked, if it's correct, there should be 24 data points for each of these. So this is giving me my standard deviation, 1.77, I'm going to round. So that's going to be my standard deviation for class F. To get the interquartile range, I have to scroll down below the 24. So if your cursor is still blinking here, you can interact with the list. If you hit anything after you hit one of our stats, then you can't scroll down. So below the N, so for the range, you're going to subtract maximum minus minimum, so 8 minus 2. So this is a 6. And then for the interquartile range, you're going to subtract Q3 minus Q1, so 2.5. And the summation was above. Now, to get class G, I'm going to have to do that again. List 1 is still the data, but list 3 is now my frequency. So I'm going to go stat, calculate, go right. One of our stats, hit enter. Now I'm going to keep list 1, but my frequency will now become list 3 to do class G. So this one will always be at the top. This time my frequency is list 3. Again, it's shift 3 to type list 3. And then now when I run this one, again, I have, 25 numbers. That means I have a typo. I'll go fix it. You know what, guys? I'll go fix it before we write this down. Stat. I have made a typo in my list for list 3. There's something wrong. There's too many people in my data set. So I have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3. I thought that was right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. No, there's 25 people in that data set. That's fine. So let me do that again. One of our stats, list 1, list 3. I hadn't really looked at it before. So this is telling me what's going on with class G. The average is 5. I'm not writing that down. Standard deviation is 2.04. Much less variation, much more consistent than class F was. If I scroll below, give me my range and IQR. For range, I got to subtract maximum minus minimum. That's an 8. And then for interquartile range, I'm subtracting Q3 minus Q1, which will be a 3. And then you keep going. So for this one, you're doing one var stats of list 1 and list 4 for frequency to get class H, one var stats of list 1 and list 5 to get class I, and one var stats of list 1 with frequency list 6 for this one, if you want. If you're like, what even, lady, I don't like this, then have to type every single one of these the number of times it says. So if you were doing list 6 and you don't like the way I'm doing it, you'd have to type in 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9. And then you just do one var stats on list 6, and you don't have to do the frequency thing. By the way, guys, when you're done with this, if you do what I'm saying, and you do the setup, when you're done, make sure to clear your frequency, because otherwise it'll keep using weird frequencies for your next thing.